hear some more of my random thoughts. You guys are stuck with my unpopular opinions and whatnot. Um, I was outside having a breather with the moon. It's at 97.9% in the sign of Taurus right now. Tomorrow's going to be the full moon in Gemini. Gemini is represented by the lovers, right? And Taurus is represented by the Hierophant. The Hierophant card is, it's all about learning and growing, spiritual connection, leveling up, promotions and all that, spiritual promotions even. And then with the lovers, Gemini, I feel that that's all about union, and it's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be romantic union. It's about like coming together with people. It's about cooperation. It's about building businesses together, building allies with people. It's about that togetherness. And I'm feeling that a lot lately, this sense of togetherness, this sense of oneness, especially within myself. And that's kind of the topic of this rant, is this sense of togetherness. Because I was thinking about it, and like I'm gonna get backlash from this. I feel it. That a lot of people tell us that we need an ego death. That we shame our ego. We judge our ego. The ego is the worst part of us, right? And I think that's just not true. And here's why. You can't kill your ego without killing yourself. Your ego's only job is to protect you, to look out for you, to be there when you're not feeling strong enough to do, to be there for yourself. It is the aspect of you that brings courage, right? And the ego is just, it's so misunderstood, and I would like to say, I love my ego, right? I love it for protecting me, for looking out for me, for giving me insights, for rearing up when I'm in danger, to let me know, hey, we gotta go, or hey, we gotta puff up and act tough right now. Whatever the case is, the ego has never really failed me, and this is why I feel so strongly about Carl Jung and integrating the shadow. You don't want to be mastered by your ego. You don't want to live in your ego. True, right? However, the ego, as soon as you think you've killed your ego, that's when your ego rears up the most, because you can't kill your ego. As soon as, you even get caught up in your spiritual identity, that itself is ego, right? And when you understand, you can't escape the ego, but you can understand it, right? And when you try to understand your ego without bias, without judgment, and you understand that it is a part of you that is only seeking to protect you, it's only looking out for your best interests, then you start to kind of, at least for me, I started to feel kind of bad for the way I was trying to kill my ego, the way I was disregarding the work that it was doing for me. Because I was like, I don't need this, I don't need to feel like da 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 da. And you know what? Sometimes maybe I do, right? Maybe I do need my ego to step up when I'm feeling like I'm backed into a wall, or I'm not feeling on top of the world or whatever. The ego protects you. It looks out for you. No, you should not be run by it. I'm going to keep saying that. You should not be mastered by your ego. You should not let your ego take the driving, take over driving for you, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that when you respect it and you have gratitude for it and you love it, it stops trying to run the show, right? It stops feeling like it needs to protect itself. It stops feeling like it needs to defend its position. Because once you integrate it, once you're one with your ego and you're like, you know what, this side of me exists. this side of me is real. This side of me is there for a reason, and you become comrades with your ego. That's when your psychic abilities really start to heighten, because then you're listening to the intuition that's even coming through your ego, right? If you are feeling if you pay attention to how you're feeling, if your ego starts rising up in certain situations, that lets you know, hey, I'm not feeling super comfortable in this situation. My ego's showing up, right? Why is the ego doing this thing right now? Why, and then you can start to understand and you can start to adapt and live kind of by just hearing yourself out, hearing out what it's trying to tell you, what messages it's sending to your body at that moment. If you're feeling insecure and your ego is oh, we're going to be big and bad and tough and da-da-da, it's because it notices that you're lacking in an area and it's trying to bring you back up. Ironic, right? That your lower vibration would be trying to bring you back up, but it does, right? It's trying to bring you back to your median. It's where you falter, I will pick you up. That's what the ego is saying. That's what the ego is doing. I had a roommate once that he was very avidly against any kind of ego, anything, And for a long time, listening to what he would say, I'd feel shame or whatever. But the thing is, sometimes my ego needs me too, if that makes sense, right? Sometimes I need to put on glittery nail polish, okay, and wear something a little sparkly, so that my ego's hey, we looking good, whatever. And it's not a sense of trying to out pretty anybody or out strong anybody or outdo anybody else. It's just giving a little bit to my ego, right? To let that little bluebird in my heart fly, a little weird ass jaybird, and that was a reference to Bukowski. He has this song called Bluebird, or song, this poem. And, I feel in a world where we're constantly in some kind of danger, right? Stifling the voice that tells us when we need to protect ourselves is probably not the wisest thing to do. It's probably, not. And as much as everyone wants to blame the ego for being the bad guy in this situation, darkness does not equate evil. In the same way that light does not equate good, right? Even in the Bible it says the devil will come as an angel of light. So I feel that we just have these black and white labels for everything, where we're this is good, that's bad, that's good, that's bad, that's good, that's bad, and nothing's really that black and white. It's all kind of gray area. And if you recognize that and you see that there's good in the darkness and there's bad in the light sometimes, in the same way that there can be good from destruction, right? We can destroy, what's a good example? For example, a wildfire. It might seem like a bad thing, right? But it actually purifies the land, right? So that new growth can come through, right? It gets rid of all the old, overgrown stuff, all the weeds, all the, and the cool thing about a lot of the wildlife is that it just keeps growing and growing, right? Energy and matter is neither created nor destroyed. It is recycled and everything must be recycled, ourselves included. And so in destruction we find creation, and in creation we find destruction. Think about the Industrial Revolution. Those were a lot of great ideas, right? A lot of creation came out of that, and it led to a lot of destruction, you know? And it's like, good ideas one day are terrible ideas 20 years later, you know? And something that we need to realize is that life is just not so black and white, and we need to give love to our ego, to our shadow self, for taking care of us when we struggle to take care of us, right? For protecting us when we struggle to protect ourselves. I'm tired of living in a world where parts of ourselves are shamed for existing. Well, you know what? I think that's bullshit. I think that every aspect of us is there for a reason, right? It's neither good nor bad. It's there, and we need to accept and love that aspect, right? But anyway, I'm done ranting. I just wanted to get that off my chest. Namaste. I love you guys. I'll see you later.